back to the Miles House podcast. I'm your host, Hunter B. Gunn, and I'm here with our current artist in resident, Brandon Sward. Right this time?
Yes, hi.
So, how are you doing today?
I am doing all right. Coming up at the end of my time here. I've been here for 2 weeks tomorrow, I think. I got here on the 17th.
You chose an interesting time to be at Miles House. Is this just what was available, or are you like, I want to be here during the holidays?
It's so I'm like a grad student, and I tend to schedule things when the university isn't in session, and the university wasn't in session, isn't in session over the holidays. So that worked out, and I was able to go through the city on both sides. So I also got to, it felt kind of like I can get some work done, and I can see some people. And yeah.
How long are your breaks for in grad school usually?
Well, I guess maybe the right thing to say is that there aren't breaks in grad school. And it's it doesn't even really matter right now, because I'm on what's called a dissertation completion fellowship, which is a fellowship to help me finish writing my dissertation. And by the terms of that, it's I'm not allowed to teach classes, and I'm not taking classes. So those are kinds of so there's not really a reason. It's the terms of the fellowship require me to be in Chicago, but I don't really have people checking up on me. So I guess I could have done it. I didn't have to do it now. But when I first started talking to Jeremy, I was applying to some things at other institutions, and I wasn't sure how it was going to land. So these 2 weeks were all the things I was applying to. None of them were meeting during these 2 weeks. So.
How's your experience been at Miles House so far?
It's been good. This is the first residency I've done that has just been me. And it's kind of the first in this where I'm just kind of living in this house with the person who runs it. So that has been fine. For me, I came here with a lot of work that I needed to get done, so it's nice to not have distraction. And I also got to know Jeremy and Brianna and some of the other people here. So it's been a positive experience.
I've always wanted to know what the artists in residence here do for fun, because everyone says I always have so much work to do. I'm just in the working mode, and if I was on residency, I think I would go insane after a little while, because I wouldn't want to bring my Nintendo Switch over to the residency, because I would just be do you go and explore go hang out with the chickens? What do you do?
I've been doing a lot of work here. So I had a day where I didn't really do much, and I made this collage of the Moz House logo. I walked to the water today because I wanted to not go without having done that, and Jeremy gave me a tour on the first day. But I don't know. It's I don't want it to seem like I'm nose to the grindstone, but it's I'm always kind of working and kind of not working. So it's I'll be writing something or answering emails or something, but I'm listening to music or listening to a podcast or watching some TV show in like another window. So it's like I should probably be better about having like clear, like this is work time and this is not work time. Um, but I haven't been good at that historically.
I mean, whatever works for you, really. If you just not having any clear cut time works, then
Yeah, but it's like could it work better?
mm,
Would it be it's like yeah, I'm there's like a this thing that I think about in there's a law of gases that gases will expand to fit the size of any container that they're put within. And sometimes I feel that way about work where it's like I get all my stuff done, but it's like if I have like 5 hours to do something, I'll do it in 5 hours. If I have 5 days to do something, I'll do it in 5 days. So it's like I'm like maybe I could be like I don't know, like living not like that.
it's an interesting way to describe it. Hmm. I also want to talk. So I also just realized that the thing I made is over there,
Oh, yeah.
and I think that's so cool that our minds create such similar things but different mediums. I guess.
Uh-huh.
I just thought it was cool. Interesting.
Yeah, it's I kind of I don't remember if I didn't know this or I had forgotten of there being like a public component to the residency, and I got here and I had just seen the Alex Katz show that's up at the Guggenheim right now, and he there were these collages that were on display there. I guess they were like decoupage. I learned from this workshop I gave here, but I thought they were really beautiful, and I hadn't seen that work of his before. So I was talking about that, and Jeremy was like, "Oh, maybe you should do like a collage workshop." And I was like, "Okay." I wasn't. I guess I don't really think about myself as a collage person. I have done it, but it just kind of felt like an easy, like low stakes kind of thing. And then I got to like Christmas, and I just been working, and I was like, oh, like I'll make like a little thing, and it will, I don't know, like be my Christmas present to like Jeremy and Brianna, or it'll be like an example I can use for. But it's like even then, it's like I get like so crazy, and I'll go and like I have this like weird like technical drawing of like the sizes that all the pieces of paper were gonna be, so that it would be like proportional and like very funny.
Well, speaking of your workshop, I saw Kelly's
Oh
anime
yeah.
creation. So cool. I when I was younger, I didn't know she every once in a while I'd go to her house and there'd be like a manga, like a manga book. I'm not sure. Kind of basically if you don't know what that is, it's basically just a comic book, but an anime comic book. And I'd be like, what the heck is this? I would be like, oh, I kind of know what that is, because I really like Dragon Ball Z growing up. So it's like, oh, Kelly also likes this type of stuff. But now we're older, putting it everywhere. She's like really grown into the anime stuff, and that's a nice outlet. And my mom also was at the workshop. Danielle, I think you definitely met her. Not sure if you remember her. She really liked the workshop also. I arrived back in Southampton last night at like 1 a.m. and she was up, and she's like, Hunter, go check out my collage I made. She says, right there. We have all the Mom's House Workshop stuff on display in our house now.
Oh, that's cute. It's I didn't really, I wasn't really like an anime kid like growing up, and one of the things I did like during the pandemic is I sort of like reverted to a lot of like my high school self, but in like a kind of revised way. And one of the things I did is I started watching a lot of anime during that time, and that's been like really wonderful. It's like it's so it's so nice to like enter a new world and like a new medium like
Mm-hmm.
that, because it's like it tends to be that it's like the first things you come across are kind of like the best things, or the things that are considered the best. So you're just like consuming all this like really good like stuff for a while. Like when I think for me it was like Avatar: The Last Airbender was kind of like the gateway drug,
Mm-hmm.
and then from there I watched like Cowboy Bebop, and I watched Ghost in the Shell, and I watched like Akira, and yeah, it's a lot of like there's a lot of really good stuff.
I love Avatar: The Last Airbender.
It's
It's
great.
like the American anime. But
Yeah, and it's like it's a kids show, but it's like really it has a lot of depth to it, and it's I don't know. I think it's a special show.
I uh I think anime is might be or animation in general is one of the greatest mediums, because in film you have like the pictures, music, dialogue. You have all these. It's like a combo of all the different mediums, and then but there's things you can't do in a film with like real people. And then once you add the animation aspect, you can really get extremely creative and make anything with the combination of like I don't know. My favorite mediums are definitely music and like video stuff. So great way to tell stories.
Yeah, the with like CGI and stuff, the boundaries between those things are maybe starting to
Mm-hmm.
break down, where it's like you can start to do things that you weren't able to do before with people's bodies because of CGI and other stuff.
One last thing I want to say before we get back to some normal Mouse House questions is CGI has gotten so good, and the best CGI I've ever seen is in the new Avatar movie.
I haven't
Which
seen it yet.
great, people are very mad. Um, I think it's mostly people who, as an American who saw it, I don't think they're. It's like they say it's like a white savior thing,
Yeah.
but I was like trying to be like, well, people are saying this, blah blah blah. It's like taking the culture, and white guys come and made a story about it, which I don't agree with that. But I think the assimilation of like what else do we want if we want people to go back to our ways of like living like how we do, and then that movie is about someone doing that. Why are you mad at it? Isn't this what we want? Like the act from an actual story stand of view, not necessarily like people are taking it. But I think it's telling the story of what we want. And I connected the second one. I think it's like it's all about water, and we're like the water. We're protectors of the water here.
It's like also like if someone were to ask you like what are the biggest issues like facing like native people in the US right now, it's like where would Avatar like fall on that list?
Mm. Some people. I mean, I think people want not necessarily credit. I think they just wish it was made. The story was told by Native American, because we've been telling that story, like similar stories that's happened in real life.
Mm-hmm.
People don't want to hear about it, but then in Avatar, they're like, "Wow, this is great."
Right.
But I've heard about it my entire life, and then now I get to see a motion picture of it actually. That's like wide audiences to see it, which is unfortunate. Like I didn't make it, maybe people wouldn't be as upset. And a spectrum, I would say people should give that like a 2 out of 10 for being mad about. Great movie. I give it a 10 out of 10 movie wise, but 2 out of 10 for a problem wise. But that's just how I feel about it, and I'm sure there's more nuances to it why people are upset. But the only reason I brought it is because of CGI. CGI is spectacular, and that's a current issue. People are mad. It's made over $1 billion already, so maybe it'd be nice if they donated like a nice movie camera to me for a native filmmaker. James Cameron, if you hear this, you could fix it all just by giving me a nice movie camera, nice Black Dragon camera.
This is like a very old story of you have like rock and roll or something, and Elvis, and him being kind of like the progenitor of this genre, which like he isn't, but it's like it's like rock and roll was developed by like a black and brown people, but it's like with um, transposing. It's like the thing that made Elvis like Elvis is there's like the if you saw the biopic that just
Another movie I love
came out recently, where there's the moment where they're like, wait, he's white, and it's what the attraction of him is that it's like it is like black culture without, or like a black voice, a black sound without the black person. And this is like very, it's like, it's like I'm, like like my mom's family is from Mexico originally, and it's like you look at um, like people wanting, to keep like Mexican people like out of the country, or like kick them out of the country. But it's like you want to eat like our food. It's like you want the culture, but you don't want the person.
Very interesting point. That happens. They want like someone that looks like them to introduce them to the culture a lot, and then they don't dive deep into who originally brought it out. Interesting. Elvis. I like Elvis. I like the movie a lot too.
He has a great voice.
Yeah, he's a good singer, and I don't think. Same with like current like hip hop, like white people in rap. I don't think, which kind of sucks. It's like Eminem. People are upset with him just because he's white, but one of the best. And so, but I think you have to like really give homage to. He doesn't like take away from the original creators, and he respects it. So there's like a fine line. You have to, as a person that is using someone else's culture, you have to show like utmost appreciation and do other things for their community, and like constantly be like, this is not. I didn't make this. I'm just. Without these people that have done it, I would never be here.
And it goes, it's like that. I mean, it's like this is, you could spend so long just talking about this, but it's just, it goes down and down and down, like, like Rosalia, the musician, where it's like she's gotten flack because it's like the type of music she's making, it's like she's Spanish, but it's kind of from like a different part of Spain, from like the Spain that she's from. And Spain is like a very kind of like balkanized country where people will be like, oh, I'm not Spanish, I'm Basque, or I'm like Catalan or whatever. So, and then it's like, it's like our system of numbers is like Arabic numbers. Is that culturally appropriative for us to like use numbers? It's, you can just go on and on.
I never knew that we I guess I knew it was like the Arabic numerical alphabet. Maybe I don't know. I definitely just butchered what it's really called, but that's how I would say it. Interesting. I don't think so. I think the answer is, why wouldn't we use it if it's so great? That's like a scientific discovery though, instead of like that's an interesting debate. Is like something like that, like a writing or a language, because that's numbers are kind of like a language. Yeah. Is that like, and we kind of just said, you know what, this is ours now.
I think the underlying problem is that people want like easy answers to things. Like I was talking to one of my professors who's an art historian, and he'll like show students like an image of a black person or something, and he's trying to talk about it, and they're trying to find out information about like the person who made it, because then they're like, oh, if it's a black person, then it's an okay image, and if it was a white person who made it, it's not an okay image. And he's like, can you, like, why don't you like look at the image, and tell me, so it's like there's a lot of like, yeah, there's many great things and many not so great things about the one that we're living in. But.
Yeah, that was very interesting. We really could talk about stuff like this for be like a 9-hour podcast, because there's so much nuance and interesting things, and I'm sure there's things that I've done that I've taken from other people's cultures and not even known, because I've been presented it by someone who took it from someone else, and I don't know where. Now it's like a filters. People are putting filters on stuff, and I'm just like, oh, that looks cool. Might as well.
It's like you look at things like CrossFit or something, where it's like this type of like militarized like gym training. It's like that was first kind of developed by white supremacists who were trying to kind of train militias for like an armed like insurrection, and now it's like this workout fad, and it kind of like circulates, without that history like attached to it anymore. And yeah, it's like there's so many examples of that.
I never knew the dark history of CrossFit. Now I knew why I didn't like it.
There's another podcast that I listened to that talked about the history of CrossFit. Really interesting.
Well, I think it's time to go back to this next question is, how did you discover Mouse House?
Oh, I don't even remember. I'm on a bunch of like email lists for like different residencies and stuff, and I forget which specific like mailing list or something that I found out about it from. Maybe if I dug through my email, I could try and find it, but I didn't know Jeremy. I didn't know anyone who had done this. I think like I vaguely knew that there were reservations on like Long Island, but I've never really like even been to Long Island before. So yeah, and I thought it was cool that it was like prioritizing BIPOC like artists, and yeah, I remember I think that the application was like very straightforward, and
it's pretty short.
Like didn't have like a fee or something, if I remember, which like always
it costs money to apply to these type of things usually.
Yeah,
I had no idea. That's
like,
kind of messed up.
Like often, yeah.
What is it, like college, just like college applications?
Yeah, and then it's like some of these, like I was just talking to Brianna about this, but it's like I got into like Vermont Studio Center, which is like one of the largest, like oldest residency, and it's like congratulations, like you got a residency. It's like $4,000
to go
for like a month, and it's like it's all like it has like room, food, the facilities. It's like all of this stuff, but it's like I don't have $4,000.
It's a lot of money.
If I had $4,000, I wouldn't give it to you. So it's like this is a big problem like within art, art of all mediums, that it's like people who are, that a lot of MFA programs are not funded, and a lot of places, if you want to teach, require you to have like an MFA. So it's like it's creating a system where like it's classist, like it's like blatantly, it's blatantly
MFA
classist.
Is Master of Fine Arts.
Master of Fine Arts, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Huh. I can't teach. That's weird because like I could go on YouTube and teach someone and make a video of me like teaching them this is how you do editing, but like, and people would actually learn, but I can't like teach it. If I was like, if I became really nice, or really nice, sorry everybody, started using slang. If I became really good at making movies, I would have to, my chances, since I didn't finish school, my chances of being a professor, although I have lots to teach, would be pretty low.
Well, there's kind of like two tracks. So there's someone like Andrea Fraser, who's like a performance artist who's important to me, and she like didn't graduate college, but she's like a canonical artist. So it's like there's the two paths where it's like if you're working up the kind of ladder in the kind of like traditional way, then it's like you're getting all of these like credentials and degrees and stuff. And it's like if you're like a famous person, you can kind of like leap over all of that, but then you have to be like a famous person.
Okay, so my dream of teaching at Yale is still alive. I'll just have to become famous.
Yeah, it's like there's always like different routes, to.
Well, I realized we never really touched on what type of art medium you do. We might have mentioned that you did writing. I don't even remember if we did or not. So I'm going to go ahead and describe some of your favorite art mediums and what you like to do.
So I guess writing is the thing, or one of the things I've been doing the longest. I did a lot of like theater, music, dance when I was in like um, like throughout my adolescence, and I thought I was going to do that for a little bit, and then I went to college and I got like really invested in all of that. And I've been living in Chicago for a long time. I sort of fell in with a bunch of kids from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago and kind of got interested in art in that way. But I had this image of myself as like not a creative person, as like an intellectual person or a critical person or like a researcher or something. And it took me a long time to start thinking about myself as someone capable of like creative production. And um, I guess I don't know if we would consider it like part of my like art or part of my practice or not. It was like writing about art for different publications, and then that kind of led to me writing more like creatively, I guess we would call it, although I don't really like that term because I think that all writing is creative, or can be creative in some way. Um, and then I started kind of developing, trying to have um, like develop some of my writing into like performance type stuff, and kind of engaging with like my um, like past and training and like performance. And yeah, I've done stuff with like photography. I was getting interested in puppetry during COVID because it was like something you could kind of do on like a small scale. Um, I Yeah, I've been doing a lot of things. I was drawing for a while. There's this like first kind of solo show that I had at a space in Charlotte, North Carolina, called Stonehouse Art Gallery, and that was kind of like installation, performance, video type stuff. But yeah, I do a lot of different things. I have this writing project that I've started here that is the first time I've like written seriously like this, like not for school in a while. So yeah, it's like I kind of I don't know, enjoy being like across a lot of different mediums, but I also worry about like whether I'm overextending myself, or it's like um, I'm like being non-committal or
Hmm.
something.
I think it's probably best to do a bunch of different types of art. I do one, and then I like to like paint some. That's one thing I like about like the workshops is I try new ways to do art that I never would, and it helps me like using the. I have to use so much technology for my art, which kind of just like presses the certain buttons in your brain that almost I don't like to say it hinders creativity, but it makes you like think like logically like a computer. It's like I can do this if I press this button, and if I press this button, like all the buttons do the same thing, like all the time, which but
You know,
branching out doing all sorts of different stuff.
it's just like with each medium, it's there's a learning curve, and it would probably be more like efficient, like whatever that means for me to stick to one
Mm-hmm.
thing. And even in terms of like communities, like the people who like care about performance, it's like that's one group of people. The people who care about photography, that's a different group of people. um, so it's I think that it's like we're moving to what some art historians have called the post-medium condition, that it's like people aren't really like painters or like sculptors anymore. It's like they're just artists.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's an art historian, Rosalind Krauss, who has this argument that like a big part of being an artist now is trying to find your medium, trying to find like what it is that you're working on.
I was just discussing that with my friends the other day about like what type of artist people are. A lot of people who know exactly what they like doing, their medium, don't like being called just artists. They rather be like, I'm whatever artist. And then I'd rather just be called an artist, because I don't really have, like, I'm a video artist, I guess, but I don't like that term. Like
yeah, I took a class with a guy named Popel, who is a really important artist to me, teaches at UChicago during COVID, and he said it very offhandedly, but it kind of stuck with me, that he talks about kind of like coming up in like New York and like the communities and stuff he was a part of, and he said we were trying to like find our work, and I thought that was like a really interesting way of describing it, of like finding your work, like not like making it or like doing it, but like finding it.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So we have to find it somehow, find out what we want to do. Huh. Very interesting. Like, what was that guy's name?
Pope L.
Pope L?
Yeah, it's like Pope period L.
Oh. Speaking of names, there's someone that you mentioned earlier, the last name of Katz, I think.
Oh, Alex Katz.
Yeah, they have a name that sounds like a movie. Like, when you said it the first time, I was like, are you talking about the movie Cats? There's like a new they just have interesting names.
He would probably appreciate that, because he's like really interested in like, I don't know, like advertising and like a lot of like commercial,
like branding.
Not exactly. It's like maybe it's cinematic. I think a lot of his paintings have a quality like that.
A cinematic painting. I would like to see that. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's like they, I don't know. So maybe they feel like film stills or something, where they kind of like suggest
like telling the story,
narrative, or just like a feeling. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Interesting. Okay, so well, I would like to do our draft now. I know there's something before we do it. You didn't really touch upon the videos that you made. You've mentioned the puppetry. I want to talk about that video. How did you come up with the idea to do the roach puppetry video?
Oh, that was made with Popel. So
that was made with Popel?
Yeah, like in that class. That, oh my god, that was like very circuitous. That it's like oh my god, it's like I found this I was living in Montana at the time, and I was at like my late great uncle's house that my dad bought, and there was this like cookbook, but like for microwaves, and I thought it was like really weird.
That's weird.
And then it's like in the first few pages it was like explaining how like microwaves worked, and there was these like heat maps of like potatoes, and then so I was like thinking about like potatoes, and then I can't remember where the cockroaches came from, but it's like they
weren't real, right?
No, they were plastic cockroaches. Okay. But it's like I don't know. It's like I've read Kafka, and it's like I lived in Chicago, and there's like cockroaches, and it's like how just like they inspire this just like visceral thing, and then it's like I don't know. I think it's like funny when people put googly eyes on things. I put like, I don't know. That was like that. It's like I like that piece, but it's super weird, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's not really a way that like I'm used to working, but that was like one of the things that was so I think valuable about Popel is he would make us do like drafts of our works a lot, and like we would present something and then we would get feedback and then he would make us do it again. And it was good because I am someone who it's like I'll like have an idea and then I'll try to do the idea the best that I can within the limitations of the moment or my resources. And then it's like, okay, cool, it worked, or okay, it didn't work. And it's like when you're drafting stuff like that, and it's like Popel, he talks about kind of like being in it's kind of like open mic type scene in like New York, and you could just like go up and do whatever, and you find out what works, and you take that, you get rid of the rest of it, you try some new things, and it's like you can. I used to think that art was about you just like you have good ideas, and if you have like a good enough idea, then that's like worth it. um, and it made me realize that it's like, oh, you can take like a like a random crazy weird idea about like talking to cockroaches about the Irish potato famine, and then um, you can like take that and try to see what works and make it better. And that it's like you can like it can like art can be good because the idea is good, or because it's like you've been able to make it the work good because of the effort and time and energy you put into it. Um, so that was like a cool thing that I learned.
The video, when I first saw it, I looked and I was like, how did he catch that many cockroaches to make this video? And then I was kind of horrified because I was like, are these real or not? I hope these aren't real. And I was like, they can't be real. And so I was just like, it definitely made me, like, I think art definitely makes you think and, like, have reactions. And that gave me a bunch of different reactions, like, what is going on? Why? Um, what is this trying to tell me? Like, what message is it trying to get across? I'm like, this is interesting. Like, I just thought I've never seen anything like that before in my entire life. I was like, wow, this is the first time I've seen anything
Yeah,
like this.
it's like this is I have this kind of like one act play that I wrote called Enter Death, and it's there's like a stoned teenager, and he's like trying to get home, and he's like in a field, and he like stops and he like throws up, and he's like really stoned, and then death appears to him is this like cattle skull, and then it's like they're they're like, how he's like, am I gonna die? And then it's like it's clear that he's not gonna die, and then it's unclear like why death is there. and then and then it's like death is kind of like lonely, and then he's like trying to hang out, and he's like, what the fuck, I'm not gonna like hang out with you. And then it's like they have this kind of like tender moment like at the end. And I think that it's like there's something that I do. I think there's two things. I mean, it's one thing forwards and backwards that I do in my work where I'll kind of set up a situation that's like ridiculous or absurd, like teaching cockroaches about Irish potato famine, or death appearing in the form of a cattle skull to a stoned teenager. And then within that ridiculous situation, like trying to make something that feels like real, or trying to have like a real emotion within this totally crazy world. Or the other one is like taking a format that's kind of like familiar, like a lecture or something, and then pushing it until it
Hmm.
becomes like some like crazy weird thing. And I think this is one of the reasons. It's like a lot of the mediums that I work across, like video and and performance and writing, they're all things that they're like durational. They work across time. So with um, with writing or with a performance, it's like you're always creating and subverting expectations. So it's like you'll like some of the stuff that I was reading just now, it's like kind of does that also, where there'll be something that kind of sounds like a joke, where it's like, you know, the straight guy that I'm hooking up with is an excellent drunk driver, except for left hand turns.
Yeah, they can't turn left.
And then it's like it's like kind of funny, and then it's like this person is like their life isn't really working, and then it's like, and then you find out that he was at like Columbine when like the shooting happened. So there's this, it's like you think that it's this funny lighthearted thing, and then it gets kind of serious, and it's like I'm really interested in like those, like you do it too hard and you give people whiplash, but it's like you know, it's like all like everything, you know, like a fucking sitcom, like Friends, you know, like it's just like, it's like that's not like straight up comedy. It's like there's like feelings and emotions and relationships and pain and hurt, like even in that.
True. Well, there's one more video I want to talk about.
Okay.
Which is the first thing I ever saw that had anything to do with you, because your Instagram page is private.
Oh, so, I unprivated it for, it doesn't matter, but go ahead.
So I went to click on your Instagram page, private, and I see your website link. Click the website link. First video I see, the cowboy video.
The cowboy video, yeah.
Very funny video.
Thank
Very
you.
Bizarre video.
Yes.
How did you come up with that?
So this is from the show in Charlotte. Okay, so I was living in Chicago when COVID happened, and then it's like I was like didn't have a lot of money, and I had to get a new computer, and all of this, like the world was ending. And so I went to and then my dad had recently bought this house in Montana where my great uncle had lived, who died suddenly. He was a lifelong bachelor. And he moved his mom out there, who has Alzheimer's. And I was like, okay, I need to stop paying rent. Like, I was like, I'll go to Montana. I also needed to like propose my dissertation, so I was like, I'll work on my dissertation. I'll keep an eye on your mom, like, and so it's like my uncle, my late great uncle, who I'm named after. My middle name's Stanton. His name was Stanton, and so he was like a lifelong like rancher cowboy dude, and he died very suddenly and was a bachelor, so all of his stuff was still like around, and there was all of this like cowboy stuff, and I was kind of interested in cowboys from like before, because I'm interested in, I grew up in Colorado. I'm interested in like the West and like race and like the idea of like the frontier. And I was living with all of these things that were really foreign to me. It's like I didn't grow up around horses or anything, but they were also kind of like personal in that, you know, I'd been coming to this house like my whole life, and I knew this person. I was biologically related to this person. So I was thinking about like these objects, which I have like this attachment to, feeling really weird to me. And then I thought of this show, and so the show is like a bunch of like his possessions that are displayed, and then there are these wall texts that like they kind of echo like museum wall texts, but then was doing a studio visit with someone recently who said, oh, they what did he say? They run away with themselves or something, where it's like I'll be writing and then it will kind of sound like a museum text, and then it starts talking about like Lana Del Rey or something, like, which is again this kind of like creating and subverting expectations. And then there's the video that you're talking about, where is something I've done before, where like taking objects and trying to like interact with them as if I've never seen them before, that like I don't know like what they are or how they work. And because it's like a lot of times it's like that show is, I think, is it's kind of like a show about like museums and stuff, and how it's like art historians and museums, they'll get these objects and they'll be like, we don't really know what it was used for, and they're trying to figure it out. And it's this like other thing that you're trying to explore. And it's like, well, what would it be like if we thought about like our own culture, like American culture, or like my culture, like my family? What would it be like to treat that stuff in that like way of trying to like figure out what something is used for? So yeah, so it's like that is, I made a couple of videos like that where I basically just like am running a camera and then I'm like doing stuff, and then afterwards I'll look at it and then I'll like find things that interest me and kind of like piece it together.
You said interacting with the object for the first time as if you've never seen them before.
Mm-hmm.
Made me realize the entire, I was like, that like connected all the dots in my head about the video. I was like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. It's like the perfect way to describe that video. Yeah. Great. Okay, well, for all these videos, because for our draft, I want us to pick 5 things, we go back and forth, to create the best possible video.
The best possible video?
Yeah, best possible video. Could be any type of video you want to make it. You just got to pick 5 like things that you'd have in your video. Like, oh, I want to have humor in my video. I want to have music, and we can't pick the same. So like, if I pick, I guess for like music, like you could pick like rock and roll music for your video. I would be able to pick like a pop music for my video, but we can't pick the same genre. Things like that. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, so do we do it like silently, or
no? We do not.
No. Okay.
We announce our picks. Yes, we have 5 picks, and you get the first pick just to create the perfect video.
I have no idea. That's such like a vague, like that's such a vague thing. I don't know. Maybe like self-aware, or like self-awareness, like something that's like aware that it is in fact a video. I think that sometimes people, with one of the things I do within my dissertation is these things like if you film something or photograph something, people think that it's just like, oh, that's just real, like it's like reality. But it's like, no, that's like something. So you have to attend to the fact that it's a video, or it's a film, or it's a photograph.
Interesting first pick. Interesting first pick. My first pick is Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yep, he's going to be the star of my video.
Okay.
I don't know what the type of video it's going to be yet, though.
Okay. Leonardo DiCaprio at what age? Talking like Titanic?
I'm talking Wolf of Wall Street age.
Wolf of Wall Street, okay.
Yeah. Age, not the character. That era of Leo.
Okay, so it's my turn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to say like clear audio.
Oh,
like,
that's a good one.
It's like I'm guilty of this myself, of like, and I think that Cowboy video has some like audio issues, but it's like, I think it's very overlooked. It's frequently overlooked by people who making video. It's like if you can't understand if you can't hear like what's happening.
I've recently realized that if you have bad audio, like you can take shoddy video work and people aren't usually going to notice, but if you have shoddy sound with the video, paired with the video, like doesn't line up, if there's any problems with the sound, people will notice for videos, and I have bad hearing. I am supposed to be wearing hearing aids, so it's always been like, I'm like, oh, well, it sounds fine to me. It does not sound fine to other people. That's something I actually have to work on to get better and better with just the quality of videos. Okay, so my second pick for writing the script, I want, who do I want to write my script? I'm going to bring Stanley Kubrick back from the dead in order to write the story starting. This is only a 5-minute video too. So Stanley Kubrick's coming in to direct and write the script. I don't know if he writes scripts, but... So we got Leonardo DiCaprio, Stanley Kubrick for the story. Storyboards made by Stanley Kubrick.
Okay, you're doing like Dream Team, where
so I guess so far, yeah. You know this because I want to make movies. Okay. So I think that's what it's like. Well, if I had a power team, if I was producing this,
let me.
You're gonna need someone behind the camera.
I am gonna need someone behind the camera. Who is good? I don't know. Who? Okay, like whoever did the Blair Witch Project. I think that like that, you know, in terms of like you're thinking about like self-awareness or something where it's like that, like I think it's a great movie. It's like one of the reasons it's great is because it's like you never forget that it's like you're watching like a video, and it's like it makes kind of like, I love horror movies, but it's like it's really playing with like the fact that it's like low quality and it's like you can't see stuff like well. So I don't know if that's like
that's the camera,
if that's like the producer or because I think that it's
art
like
direction.
It's like the woman in it. It's like I think it's her filming most of the time. Just like there's like a production video. There's like someone from whoever was doing Blair Witch Project. Like
okay, yeah. You got a pretty good list there. Pretty good list. I think I'm gonna need some music, so I'm gonna go with the guy who makes the all the Star Wars music. Star Wars music guy. The orchestra, whoever orchestrates the Star Wars music is going to make music for this video. Star Wars orchestra, not the Star Wars songs. He's just going to create a new soundtrack for this video. This is a $10 billion budget movie. This would be the greatest movie of all time so far. Star Wars music guy. That's my third pick.
Okay. I will. I'm just gonna put Sundance. It's gonna premiere at Sundance. Or it's like it's gonna like be in like a workshop or something at Sundance.
Is it gonna win?
I don't know. I just kind of want it to like be like part of the milieu, you know. It's like I think that it's like it's one of those things where it's like, you know, it's like you can just say something was at Sundance, and it's like you don't it's like you don't have to like know anything else about it. It's not like oh it was good or it was bad. It's like it was at Sundance. It's like that's all that matters.
That's funny. That's a strong pick at number 4. Might be the steal of the draft. Let's see. I'm gonna have to go with. I can't believe no one's done this yet. I'm gonna go with humorous. Very funny video. Why can't I smell humorous? All right, humor. Since I can't smell humorous right now, the funniest video in the past 10 years to ever come out. It's gonna be hard. But I think Leonardo DiCaprio is going to, Stanley Kubrick and Leo are going to somehow create very funny script for each other, and then the Star Wars music is really going to encapsulate the physical comedy aspects and make everything very nice. And then the jokes are going to be amazing. Comedic timing, perfect as well. Turning up to be the most bizarre video of all time. But it's going to win. It's not going to win Sundance. It's not even going to make it into Sundance, this video. It's going to make it into the one in Berlin. What's that one called?
I don't know.
Neither do I. All right. Your final pick. This seals the fate of your video. And then I guess you get to name your video.
Oh, God. Okay. I am going to put slow-mo. It's like...
The whole time?
Not the whole time, but there's going to be like... It's very dramatic, but it's like... I kind of love like, you know, like a slow-mo with kind of like a voiceover. It's like, it's almost, it can be kitschy, but it's like there's this great documentary called The 12 O'Clock Boys about these guys who ride dirt bikes on the street in Baltimore, and they're doing all these crazy things on dirt bikes. And there's all this just like beautiful footage of like them like doing the most insane things on like dirt bikes in this just like luscious like slow-mo.
Wow.
Like
almost sounds like the Nature Channel.
Yeah, well, maybe. They also use a lot of slow-mo, but yeah.
Okay, so your shots, you're gonna have beautiful slow-mo shots of important action scenes. I see it all coming together over there.
Yeah.
All right, then for my final pick, this is going to be a Batman movie.
Batman movie.
Yes, Batman Beyond. You know about Batman Beyond?
No.
It's like Batman gets old, and then I think he doesn't kill people, but he was like getting beat up so bad, like the thug had like a gun, and he almost like shot the guy, and then he was like, well, I can't be Batman anymore if I'm gonna have to shoot people in order to stop a crime. So then he like found someone new to like take up the mantle. And I've always wanted to see that in a movie, especially with like, I should have put Heath Ledger on the list to bring him back. Continuation of the Dark Knight series. All right, well, that's for the sequel, I guess. All right, so this is mine is starring Leonardo DiCaprio as Batman. This is the funniest Batman of all time, by the way. Robin's in it. He's hilarious, great. And then Stanley Kubrick is directing and has written the script and the story. So it's already going to be cult classic. Tons of Stanley Kubrick fans. He's going to have a few shining shout-outs in that as well. And maybe even the voice of the computer, of Hal, I think is the computer's name. Hal. And then the soundtrack is going to be done. It's going to be spectacular. They're going to have live orchestras playing the entire movie, and conducted by the guy who made Star Wars. And it's going to be called Beyond Batman by Hunter B. Gunn. I'm producing it.
Cool. So,
and it's only 5 minutes long, the entire movie.
Okay. So I am producing, well, someone from the Blair Witch Project is making a video, a self-aware video with clear audio and slow-mo that's premiering at Sundance. And it's going to be called Pretentious Art Film, because that's what it sounds like when all of those things get put together, which is like maybe like a self-burn, but...
I mean, it's self-aware.
Self-aware, it is, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm aware that it's a pretentious art film.
So you're subverting the expectations.
There we go. It all comes full circle.
It does. All right, well, we're 35 seconds away from the 1 hour mark. So I think it's about time to wrap it up. But I'd like to thank you for being on the podcast. At the end of the podcast, I always like to do two things. I let you ask me a question. So I've been asking questions the entire day.
Okay.
And then I would like to give you the opportunity to plug like all your social medias, your websites, whatever you want people to check out.
Sure. What's your what's been the best part of working with Moz House for you?
Let's see. The best part, definitely, the collaborations and working with people, and um, yeah, just working with people, having them ask me to do things. I'm like, I know in my head, I don't know how to do that, and then I go ahead and learn how to do that, and then I'm like, oh, well, now I can do that next in case someone has to ask me about it. So it constantly helps me get better by working with all those other people.
Yeah, this is like, I think this is one of the things that being an artist is really empowering, because it's like you're having to figure out how to do shit all the time. And yeah, you just have to learn how to teach yourself things and figure things out.
Exactly. So,
all of the stuff. So,
Yeah.
I'm like Brandon Sward, Brandon Sward, is my handle on Instagram, which is I made public again because it doesn't matter. But that's probably what I'm most active on. If Twitter doesn't like implode, I'm like Brandon underscore Sward there. And then I'm what else do I have? It's my website, brandonsward.com. Yeah, those are like the main ways of getting a hold of me. And if you go to my website, it just kind of like I do a fairly good job of keeping it updated, so it kind of links out to a lot of my accounts, and there's a lot of like my work there across like a bunch of different mediums. So.
And for everyone listening now, be on the watch for, I guess, like a sneak peek into a possible book you're making, a video that we've made. I mean, it was able to hook me in. First 3 words, so.
It's, I don't know. It feels crazy, but like so does everything else. So yeah, why not write a book?
Yeah, might as well. You like to write anyway.
I do. I have I don't know. It's like a tortured relationship with it, but I think everyone has like a bit of like a tortured relationship with their mediums. It's like there are things that you struggle with, and it's like I like the struggle, and it's like I hope that anyone who's listening, it's like you. I think that it's like people think that it's like writing or creating or anything else. It's like it gets to a point where like it's easy for you. Maybe for other people it does, but it's like it does not get. It's not easy for me. It's like it's hard. I've just been doing it long enough that it's like I'm able to push through the hard parts. So
interesting way you put it. My medium definitely does torture me sometimes.
Oh, if you're working with like AV or like computer stuff, it's like those can be so frustrating.
I feel like it fights me back. I feel like it's trying to drive me insane, and then that's my battle.
Yeah, but also it's like sometimes it will. You can like learn new things from it. You can there's surprises that can happen.
Yeah, something that works every day for a year straight, all of a sudden no longer works, and you got to find a workaround, which not my favorite thing to do, but I had to do it. Right, well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I think this was a good one. We both have made some very different but very interesting videos. And well, once you begun, thank you for everyone listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.